Yes, hello. My name's Art Fuller, and if you're watching this video, I'm going to be excited to be working with you as a member of the leadership team for Human Services. And as you all know, Todd Pepperworth, his last day is going to be on this Friday, January 14th. And so this week, uh, Todd and I were working step in step, just kind of working with the transition. But I wanted to record this video to give you all just a preview of just how excited I am to begin working with you all and of kind of what's to come because there are a lot of exciting things ahead. So first, just wanted to kind of talk with you a little bit of just about my background. And then this information that I'm sharing with you, pay very close attention to it, peel back all the layers, don't step over the little things, all of those things, because we're going to be working together and achieving some great things on behalf of Hamilton Center in support of our consumers. So just a little bit of background about myself. I have been with Hamilton Center just under 2 years. I joined as the Director of Charitable Gifts. And so before then, I spent 25 years in education. I was the CEO of an organization for 10 years, worked with elected officials for about 7 years, and also served as like a national consultant in teaching, learning, and training and recruiting people. So this is an area that is really resonates with what I enjoy about just working and connecting. The whole reason that I am at Hamilton Center is because I ran into this guy called Mr. Burks. And I was like, what in the world? I've never met a person like this. And so I really am just thankful that a person like Mr. Burks is around. And so I intend to do everything I can to help make his vision a reality. So let me talk about just the new vision for human services. As you all know, we are celebrating our 50 years, so 2021. And really, I just wanted to start with that theme, building hope and changing lives, because that's what Hamilton Center does. And so I'm looking forward to working with you all because that's what we're going to do. We are going to build hope and change lives. And it's going to impact like generations and generations of people. And that sounds like a bold statement, but I'm sure we can do it. So the next thing I just want to talk about, let me make sure I have this presentation working. Just the word. So human services. So these are pictures of some of my favorite people at Hamilton Center. Uh, and so I only know 3 out of the 4 really well. So you have one that's been with the organization 40 years. Of course, you have Mary Beth Doherty. We all know Mary Beth is the matriarch of Hamilton Center. I think she's been with Hamilton Center 38 years. You got Lynn Hughes, and then, of course, Mr. Burks with his hands to the sky. The thing about who we are as a team, the first word is human. And so I think the thing with that is we are all connected through experiences that are common to us. And that's connection is what we want to emphasize. What is it that brings us together? What is it that makes us human? That's in our name. We're the Human Services Division. So just think about that for a little bit. The next thing is service. So it's in our name, Human Services. I mean, you can't get much more plain than that. There, Hamilton Center, we do so many different things where we're reaching out, trying to help the community, trying to raise awareness about ideas. But the foundation of what we do and the foundation of Mr. Burks is service at the core. So the Human Services Division is really focused on connecting what brings us together, those common experiences, and how can we use that to serve other people. So here are all the divisions that are in this new vision for human services. So I want to talk about each one and how we are going to be working together. And you can see at the top, together as one. And that's a powerful statement. The thing I would like to point out, you see this little dot over here, and you have the consumer. So the consumer is at the center of everything that we're going to be thinking about, talking about, and doing. What are we doing to best serve our consumer through experiences that can connect us more together as one? So you have the first division dealing with human resources and diversity, I'll add on that. And so just think about that across our organization, have over 600, I think 20 employees. And just thinking about the breadth and scope of Hamilton Center, it's pretty amazing. And we have the ability to impact that and improve that on a day-to-day basis. The other area in this new division of human services is crisis care and hospitalization. So, prior to this role, and I'm still am currently in the Access Center, working with the inpatient unit, hospitalization, all of those things, we are serving people that are at their lowest point, family members that don't know what to do. They reach out to us, they ask for help, and that's what we do. So human services division includes that. New careers and life pathways, just thinking about, we have the new citizen program. We provide an opportunity for people that the rest of society have says, we don't want to give them an opportunity. We say, well, guess what? We're going to try it out and see what happens. So really excited just about the connections to the new citizens program and even juvenile justice, the courts, all of those different things. And we also deal with that in the Access Center as well. So all of that's connected to human services. Public safeties, when you look around our 11 counties, the number one thing is like any environment that you want to be in, you want to be safe. So that's a very important role, and we're going to have the ability to impact that. The outreach and mentoring, we have relationships with Vigo County schools and the mentoring program. We have the outreach with our CRS team, so we'll talk about that more. And then the CCBHC grant. So this may be a new term for some of you, but hopefully it's not. And I think the best way to think about it is healthcare is trying to make things easier for people that can't afford healthcare. And so what the CCBHC is about is a one-stop shop way to connect people to great healthcare service. And so it's something that's been developing over the last probably 2 years, and it really is building a lot of momentum. And I'll go more in depth with CCBHC at another time. But it cuts across just the way that community mental health centers like Hamilton Center are looking at how do we provide the best service, the best human service to our community. And then, of course, healthcare navigation, connecting people that don't know how to navigate the system. How do we support that? So all of those areas, we're going to be working together as one in support of the consumer. And so I'll talk about how that will happen, but just wanted to kind of give that picture to you as an overview as you're just digesting what this new vision, what this new division is at Hamilton Center. So here's some things, if you're watching the video, I need everyone who's watching it, you need to know this information. These are just quick facts you just need to know. So, Hamilton Center, we're the 9th largest employer in the Wabash Valley. You got to know that. And I think one of the things that's powerful about our story is in the heart of COVID, even the largest organizations, they were laying off people. They were cutting the hours of people. They stopped the hiring of people. Hamilton Center didn't do any of that. They maintained full-time employment for every single person, didn't reduce any person's schedule, and they continued to hire people during the global pandemic that shut down companies, organizations, Fortune 500. It shut down the whole nation. Hamilton Center still kept going. So that's the power of the vision that we're working to promote under the Human Services Division. And so it's also important to know just we operate at 11 counties, and you can kind of see there outpatient services, inpatient services, addiction services, group homes, opioid treatment centers, primary care clinic, the CCBHC, child and adult. I mean, it just goes on and on. There's so many things that Hamilton Center does to serve our community. And so that's what we're focused on. So the rest of this presentation is really going to talk about the 13 tools and why they are really the foundation. They are the structure of what it means to be successful here at Hamilton Center. So my question I want you to think about is, do you really understand the 13 tools? I mean, really think about it. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, it'll be a enthusiastic, yes, I do really understand. And if it's not, that's fine. We'll continue to work on it. So I have the 13 tools listed there, and that's what you have on your badge. But we're really going to peel back the layers on what this means and why it's important, because the 13 tools are that is the structure that Mr. Burks, as the CEO, has for the vision of Hamilton Center. And that vision is very successful. And so we're going to continue that. So already talked about that. That's the foundation. Before we get to kind of digging the 13 tools, just want to kind of give you some things to think about. So as a leadership team, we're going to be meeting on a weekly basis. So you're going to need to look at your calendar, and everyone on this team, we're going to be meeting, we're going to be talking, we're going to be working through things, working through the challenges together as a team. So there's going to be ongoing training and team development for every team member actually throughout our division. And it's first going to start with our leadership team. The next one is really focusing on what are the data metrics that indicate success. So we're going to talk about that, because in every area that we're in, there are data metrics that we can point to that says, oh yeah, we're doing a good job. So we need to identify and really understand why those are the ones we want to look at. And we are going to actually block off time every week for us to talk together and become a really strong team. And our foundation is always going to be the 13 tools. And I think the thing I'll emphasize again, so you think about what were you doing 43 years ago? Some of you may not have even been born. So Mr. Burks has been here for 43 years. It is still going strong. And, he's just going to keep going. So that is who we are supporting. That's who we are serving in support of the vision of human services. And then these next three things are just questions I want you to think about. And, when you ask the question, you can kind of think about it at a surface level. But I really want you to really dig deep and think about these questions. So number one is easy. Do you have a heart for service? That's the only thing that motivates me. I want to serve people. That's it. So do you really have a heart for service? And how do other people know? How do they know that you have a heart for service? And how can they see that every day? That's our responsibility on the leadership team. The next question, are you committed to attaining excellence? So excellence is a word that gets thrown around a lot. But when you really think about what excellence is, it's something that kind of takes your breath away. Like when you see something that's excellent, like, oh, wow, it's breathtaking. So think about how much time, how much practice, how much communication, collaboration has to take place to really achieve excellence. And then the last one is, are you ready to adapt to a rapidly changing world? And we all know the world is just changing every week to week. This COVID, it has us all jacked up. And it's just going to keep on changing. So those are the three questions I would like for you to really think about before we have our first meeting, which is going to be during the week of Monday, January 17th. Those are the three. And we're going to talk through each one. If you want to write something down, that's good, but you need to be prepared to talk about each of these three questions at our first meeting. Do you have a heart for service? Are you committed to attaining excellence? And are you ready to adapt to a rapidly changing world? So let's talk about, I'll come back to that one. Let's talk about these 13 tools. So with the 13 tools, I like to divide them up into three different parts. So please make a note of that, because you'll see how they all fit together. So the first part is it's consumers first. We all know that. No negativity. So positive is what builds momentum towards progress. And so when you look at it, it's really good to think about the 13 tools in regards of layers. So at the center, you have consumers first, you can see that. And then when you go to this next thing, which is no negativity, that actually is the best thing for our consumers, which are often at their most vulnerable places when they come to us. They don't need to be encountering negative messaging, negative body language, negative attitudes. We need to eliminate that, because that's the best for our consumers, and that's what we're here for. And then the blueprint is the vision of the CEO. So Mr. Burks has a vision. It's up for us to know what that vision is, because it's all in support of who? Consumer, making that consumer first. And then the only way that gets accomplished is through communication and collaboration. That's the only way you do it. So if you don't have that, the blueprint don't work, people that are negative, and they're negatively impacting consumers. So that's just the first part of one way to look at the 13 tools. Consumers first, they need to be surrounded around no negativity. Blueprints the vision of Hamilton Center and the CEO, and trusting that vision. And that happens best through communication and collaboration. The next part, so that was part one. Now we're on part two, is DYJ. So like when you go to a place to work, you're supposed to do your job. And so if you put that at the center, the best way to do your job is to understand what is the structure that you're operating in. And we operate in a cube. And I'll go over what that cube is, but it's really important that you understand that cube and why that cube is so powerful. And with the do your job, it's like you can do a job in a commonplace, kind of lackadaisical kind of way, or you can do it in a motivated, innovative way. And that's what breaking the mold is about. Here's the thing. It's like when you're doing those creative things and you're trying to think about, okay, what's the best way to do it? We all have things, we all have priorities, we all have ways that we like to do things. And what the red wagon is, do you understand the way Mr. Burks would like to do things? And that is the way that it needs to be done. So that's what the red wagon is. It's about emptying the way that you like to do it and understanding what is the way that the CEO, who's the leader of our organization, would like to do it. And that's what we will do. That's what the red wagon. And so that relates to you do your job, because you're hired. In your job description, it's spelled out. This is what we want you to do. You use the cube for that. You can do it in creative ways to keep the consumers first. At the end of the day, are you doing it the way based on the vision of the CEO, emptying out the way you would like to do it and understanding what that is? And that should be communicated in the job description. So we'll talk about that. So that was part 2. And then the last thing, part 3, and this is all with the 13 tools, is talking about corporation. So corporation, corpus, Latin, one body. And you'll remember we talked about together as one. That's getting to that concept of one body. So these are phrases that Mr. Burke says over and over again. Peel back the layers. So don't settle for just a surface level understanding of anything, any task that you are assigned or that you come across within our leadership team. You got to peel it all the way back, because that's how we find the best way to do it. That's how we best serve our consumers. Don't step over the little things. It's amazing how some of the littlest things can cause really, really, really big problems. So it's our job to peel back the layers, and then when we're peeling it back, if we see something little, we can't just, oh, well, that doesn't matter. No, we need to dig deep on that too. Dollar for dollar, we need to be as efficient as possible, and then we're going to be fine tuning. So all of these are part of the phrases and the vocabulary and the language that we will use in our leadership team. So those are the 3 parts of the 13 tools, and they look like that. So when you think of it, you have consumers first, which we talk about here, the no negativity blueprint community. You have the do your job, which starts here. You have the cube, red wagon, and then you have the corporation, which is one body. And so as we are working through things as a corporation, are we peeling back the layers? Are we not stepping over the little things? Are we looking at dollar for dollar? Are we fine tuning all the time? So that is the level that Mr. Burks works at. And so that's the level we need to match. So that is our structure. So if you ever get any questions from Mr. Burks or anyone about what is the structure of Hamilton Center, this is it. It's consumers first. It's do your job. It's one body. And then all of the layers that go through that. So if you have questions on just that explanation, hey, just send me an email. But I wanted to go through that through you just to clearly communicate how the 13 tools operate as part of our structure. We're talking about the cube here, do your job. See that? Where are we? Right there. See the next thing? So do your job. There's the cube. This is how the cube looks with the do your job, staff at the bottom. You have the chiefs and executive directors, director and hiring managers are the different faces of the cube. So that is the structure, which goes to this. What's in the center? The consumer. How many parts to the 13 tools? There are 3. So at any given time, all of those things are working together to do what? Help support the consumer. So really visualize that. The consumer first is at the center of how we'll be working together. How many parts to 13 tools? 3 major parts. What are they? They're right there. And how do they look? They're like that for our consumers. So again, let's talk about the different divisions. You see the consumers right there. We've already talked through those areas. So now let's talk about our team. So every week, we're going to meet. And we're going to just continue to build strong relationships around the challenges and opportunities that we're facing as a team. So who are the different members of this human services teams? Of course, you have Executive Director of Human Resources. So that's Katrina Colvin. Oh yeah, hey Katrina. You got the Executive Director of Human Services, Tattoo Brown. Yeah. Executive Director of Nursing, Christy Hogan. She's great. Supervisor of Public Safety, Robert Davis. Manager of Human Resources, Executive Director, it just goes on and on. So we will be meeting collectively as a team every week. And I'm excited about it because I know we are going to do some really great things together. Also, we're going to be working on a number of special projects using data, using our 13 tools. So we'll be working with all of these team members as well. And it's going to be focused on data. So I hope that gives you a nice overview of just things to think about this new vision for human services. And here's how I ended it here. Our services impact families for generations. So there are not many organizations that can say that, but actually Hamilton Center can. And that's what we will do. And that's what we will be working on as a team. And I'm very much looking forward to it. So the rest of the presentation, which I will have attached, I'm not going to go over because I want you to go through it yourself. So on the remaining slides, so one of the things that we're going to be working on is actually a whole new marketing recruitment campaign, and you're going to get a preview of just what the theme is going to be. If you have a heart for service, you belong with Hamilton Center. And so we're going to be doing it in lots of different ways that you can kind of see on the screen, appealing to lots of different audiences. So I'm excited about that. And then the other thing is, do you really know the history of Hamilton Center? I want you to take the time and really go through these dates that are here. So as part of the leadership team, you need to know the history of Hamilton Center because we've done some groundbreaking things, but we're just getting started. So that's just like the quick intro, and I'll be sending more information your way. I really am excited to be working with all of you. And remember, consumers first.